7 months ago, I was forced by a medical diagnosis to confront my own mortality. If you'd asked me before that day whether I confronted my mortality, I would have confidently and erroneously said yes. The death of a son, conversations across the country with those on the edge, time-embracing mothers of children serving in Iraq or Afghanistan. I had a lot of reasons to think that I had confronted mortality, but in truth, I had not. I was content to let each day play out in whatever way it would, and I had goals and activities, but somehow I didn't think that they defined me. I'm not alone. We all do this to some degree, I think. But now I ask you to live deliberately. What we do, how we do it, does define us. I ask you to think about the story we want to leave behind, that you want to leave behind. I use the word story instead of legacy, which is your First Lady's word, because I don't want it to sound as if we have to earn a spot in our history books in order to have counted. Each of us just needs a story worth telling, a story worth living, a story of a life that in some small measure matters. I can't say this with enough emphasis. With each thing you do and each thing you fail to do, you write that story. Yes, maybe there'll be time for a do-over if you don't get it right the first time, but there are no guarantees. There will come a time, as it might have come for me, when there's no time left for do-overs. Every opportunity to reach out, to speak, to touch someone is precious for me, and I do not know how long I have to complete my story. And while we write our stories, we also weave a tapestry that tells our story, not just in terms of ourselves. In fact, very little of our tapestries belong to us alone. Our stories, our tapestries, are woven with the threads of other people. Our families and our closest friends are the ribbons of color, the cords that are the backbone of those tapestries. But I need to ask you now to visualize a tapestry thus far. Wide ribbons and sturdy cords. It's really a line drawing only. What's missing? What's missing are the tiny threads that give the detail to our tapestry, that give life to our story. Who are those threads? They are the child you volunteered to read to, the new widow for whom you bought groceries, the neighbor whose lawn you mowed when they were sick. They are all of our sisters in cancer, those we know and those we do not. It takes even less than that. They're the waiter who'll serve you dinner later today, who spends 8 hours a day serving strangers, someone to whom a kind word is a gift of decency that acknowledges her worth, making each person a luminescent thread in our tapestries. A tapestry well woven will mean for all of eternity that you mattered. Does the struggle against cancer seem too big for me alone? It does. But I am not alone. We run and we raise money and we reach out to our sisters and we speak out for more research. As Margaret Mead once said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. You don't have to lead a great movement to make an impact. In fact, most of us won't. You don't have to cure a disease to change a life. You don't have to start a foundation to lift someone up. You don't have to lead a protest to stop injustice. In small ways, every day, you can make a difference. You can change someone's life. And at the same time, you enrich your own. Today, I'm asking you to make a difference, to take a moment each day to shower the people around you, your friends and your strangers, and particularly your sisters, our sisters, with kindness. And also to allow yourself to accept the kindness of others, to allow them into your life, to weave them into your tapestry, not just for them. Do it for yourself, for the peace you will find when you close the story you've written. Others have done this for me. When I was first diagnosed with breast cancer, you wrote me. I received 65,000 emails and 30,000 pieces of snail mail. You became part of my tapestry. You shared your strength, and you taught me too. You taught me a great deal. You taught me that you become a survivor on the day you're diagnosed. You taught me that humor is a great weapon, like when Barbara Ann, who wrote me in the midst of her third bout with cancer, sent me her prayers, but also sent me her sore regrets that her hair loss made her look so much like Dick Cheney. Even the Republicans in this group, and I know that you're out there, don't think that a woman looking like Dick Cheney is a good idea. You reminded me about the value of living, as Sandra did when she wrote that though she was almost 60, she continued teaching school, hooked up to an IV, and during radiation sessions made plans to buy a Harley. You taught me about your faith. A man with testicular cancer wrote me that, as many people did, God gives us the strength to do the hard things he chose to lead us through, which I've heard many times. But then he added, personally, I prefer to go around such hard times, but I can't always convince him to see it my way. You told me that there would be hard times. Adele gave herself one cry daily and decided that she would give that cry in the shower. Although she never allowed herself to cry in front of her children, she admitted that some days she took 2 showers. You knew that all the blessings do not come from friends and family. Kathy numbered among her path family, friends, doctors, her congregation, but also prosciutto and cheese pinwheels and mini sausage quiche. You taught me the very hard lesson that we are alive right now, and that is a victory, each and every day. You taught me that we have the power to whether this defines us. Rachel, who had been battling a brain tumor successfully for 14 years, said, "It doesn't define me. It's just one small part of who I am. I'm not a woman with a brain tumor. I'm Rachel. I'm married to Bill. I'm a counselor. I have green eyes. I like Ethiopian food. And I have a brain tumor. I'm Elizabeth. I'm married to John. I've had 4 delicious, incredible children. I have blue eyes, which, like my hair, are turning more gray each year. I like tomato sandwiches. And I have breast cancer." And now my sister, Linda Ellerby.
Elizabeth and I would like to ask you all to do something here. If you're a woman out here and you've had breast cancer and you feel comfortable with that, would you please stand? Now remain standing, please. If you're out here and someone in your family has had breast cancer, would you please stand? Keep standing, those of you who already stood. If you're out here and you know a woman who's had breast cancer, would you please stand? Look around you. Okay, now we're all about to go off to the conversations this afternoon and gather at Minerva, but we'd like to leave you with this thought before we go. Losing a breast can never be compared to losing a life. But lopping off body parts to cure a disease is still a weird idea. With that, I'd like to close with the words of Sue Miller, another survivor who wrote a play called My Left Breast. I miss it, but it's not a hand. I miss it, but it's not my mind. It's not me. I miss it, but there is something growing in its place, and it is not a tougher skin. The doctor says my heart is more exposed now, closer to the air. I cherish this scar, a reminder of the beginning and the ending of me, a reminder that I take that seriously, which I do. Oh, I miss it. But I would like to say to all the women everywhere that we are still sexy. We are still beautiful. We are still powerful, and we are still here. Thank you.